Hi, welcome to the final episode of our podcast. This one is called Behind the Mask, even though we don't wear masks. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to some more of our sabs.
Hi, my name's Mary and I'm a sab with North London Hunt Sabs. I'm just about to go into my third season. Who am I? I am a mum to an adult daughter who works for the NHS. I'm a primary school teacher, and prior to being a teacher I was a criminal defence solicitor and also practiced prison law. Why did I become a SAP? That is probably to do with two epiphanies in my life. The first was when I had my daughter, and I remember the nights I would be sitting up breastfeeding, and I'm sure lots of women have this experience, or parents, when they're up feeding late into the night. You sit there and you think and have all these deep, meaningful thoughts. But I remember thinking how what I was doing linked me into every single one of my maternal ancestors, right back to that very beginning, that evolutionary moment of us becoming mammals. And it was incredibly powerful because at one point, my daughter was about a week old. I just had this overwhelming rush of love. My whole life made sense because I had birthed this tiny being who was completely dependent on me. And you know, with hindsight, that was probably a hell of a lot of hormones, but it's those hormones that as mammals we have so that we protect our young, we feed our young, we put all that effort and energy into raising our young to keep that line going. And that will come to play a part in the eventual reason why I SAB. The next epiphany, so I've only had two epiphanies in my life, was when I became vegan. I always knew about factory farming. I didn't think it was nice, I didn't think it was right, but it was not going to stop me from eating my meat, drinking my milkshakes and having my cups of tea. I went to vegan camp out, not because I was particularly interested, but because my daughter was doing a dissertation that was about veganism and the environment. And when I was there, I heard lots of talks. I agreed with everything that was being said, but it had no impact. Sorry, that is my dog barking. I'm just going to let him in. So it wasn't until I got home and a few weeks later I had COVID, and I became incredibly bored. Bored enough that I decided to watch a documentary called Earthlings that I'd been told to watch by someone that I met at the vegan camp out. And watching that documentary changed my life forever, and I knew there was no going back. I sat there and I sobbed and sobbed for all those cows that had their young taken, that had their calves removed from them purely for the production of milk. I know some people seem to think that the calf stays with the cow while they're being milked. That's not the case. As a mammal myself who breastfed, you can't be producing milk for your young and milk for the local shop. So it was really heart-wrenching. The meat industry, the dairy industry, all the things that I already knew, suddenly it made sense. And I didn't want to be part of that anymore. It wasn't necessary. I don't need meat and dairy to survive. I don't need to wear leather to survive. So in that moment I made a decision to become vegan. Several years later, I went to a charity event, a meal at Unity Diner that was raising money for North London Sabs. And Rhys Giles gave a talk there about cubbing season. He spoke of the conflict that those vixens have during cubbing season while their cubs are still too young to fully fend for themselves. Their den is surrounded and the young hounds are sent in to practice killing foxes. And he explained how those vixens would have had that conflict. Do I run and flee and try and take the dogs away from my young, or do I stay and hold ground and try and defend my calves when the hounds, the dogs, arrive? And that was very significant to me. When my daughter was very young, I was in a abusive relationship, and there were times when I would be running through the street, hiding behind cars, and I have very, very clear memories of thinking I'm like an animal being hunted down, and it is terrifying. And terror is something we experience whether we're human, whether we're a cow, whether we're a fox. We can experience that terror, that fear, that desire to live and see another day, and to run, to get away from the threat. I know that there was another time when I was holding my baby. I was on the floor in the corner of a room, and again that threat was there, and I couldn't decide, like those vixens, do I stay holding my baby, protecting her, or do I run and hopefully take the threat away so it follows me? So Rhys, if you've heard him speak in a previous episode, he's a real wordsmith, and I wish I had that gift. But he was telling my story, and it really hit home that I had to do something to try and stop other living beings from experiencing that terror, especially mothers protecting their young. So that's how I ended up joining North London, and they are an absolutely great group of people. What do I think of the hunt? I think there are a few who have been culturally brought up to think it's okay, that it's their inheritance, their right. And I think throughout history, we can see times when good people take part in really evil, ugly things because they've been brought up to feel it's okay. The slavery that happened from Africa to America, a lot of people wouldn't have raised an eyebrow because culturally they thought it was okay. Then you'll have other members of the hunt who, especially if they've got children, might be left to the back, so they actually don't see the active pursuit and encouragement of the hounds to chase that fox. They don't see the terrier men digging out the runs under earth. They don't witness the horror of what actually happens at the front. So for them, they're probably ignorant. But I do feel they have a duty to educate themselves. Others, I think, are very unpleasant bullies. In the playground at school, you'll always get one or two little ones who will catch a butterfly and pull its wings off, who will remove the legs from the centipedes, who will throw stones at the local cat. There isn't that understanding that life should be respected in whatever form it comes in. I know when I practiced law, you would get gangs in London who would go to high rises and put a local cat with their dogs in the lift. They would send it down to the ground floor. You would have people there to film what had taken place while the dogs and cats were in the lift together, and it would be horrific. And the fact that they take enjoyment out of these activities, everyone is appalled by. Just because you put a red jacket on and speak with a posh voice and you don't claim benefits, it doesn't make it okay. You know, it's a tradition that needs to be buried. It's a tradition that has been outlawed, but it's still carrying on, and so we do need tighter laws to stop this happening once and for all.
Hi, I'm Richie. I've been part of North London Hunt Sabs for 2 seasons, and I like to make music, play songs on guitar, and I work in the NHS. I first got into sabbing because I saw a few things on Instagram, some videos showing some hit reports, and I had a friend who was involved, and from there I decided to get involved as well. The thing that makes me want to sab is me wanting to be part of a world where fox hunting doesn't exist, where this wildlife is free to roam and just be itself. And I realized if I really want to be part of that world, I just need to take action and get involved, and that way I'll be able to sleep at night and be able to not see these things on my phone that these people are doing these horrible things, and I know that I'm part of the solution. I can be part of the group that stops them. So something that sticks out to me when on the field sabbing is, I guess, the idea of pushing yourself further than you thought you could go. So one time, the hounds were in cry, ran. We were with them for a bit, but then they snuck through a hedgerow that we couldn't go through. It was just dog sized. But something clicked in me, and I thought, I've got to follow those hounds. I've got to stop them killing a fox. So I just got on my knees, crawled straight through the brambles, and managed to get to the other side, and just ran and pelted it. And yeah, just continuously, I realized that through all of my fellow sabs, we can do more than we think we can. Like, there's stinging nettles, but we need to get through them. Just run through them. And yeah, that's something that sticks with me. Just the fact that we have the capacity to do more than we think, to do the right thing, and to go beyond that. So my thoughts on the hunt, members of the hunt, those that are involved, are that, I guess, at first glance, like, if you didn't see them on the back of a horse or following a bunch of dogs around the countryside, you might think maybe they'd be okay to, like, be at the pub with and hang out. But I guess the more that I've spent time with them, you realize that these people are, they think they can get away with anything. They think it's their right to hunt foxes, that anyone trying to stop them is doing something unjust to them. And it becomes clear, sabotaging them, stopping them, that kind of comes out in other ways. Like, I've seen them be misogynist to women sabs, racist to sabs of color like me, and it just becomes clear that it's just their mindset extends in all kinds of ways. Maybe not all of them. Some of the field riders, they're just out for a jolly good time, and we're not mean to them. They're not mean to us. Sometimes, like we won't leave a gate open. We would just if we're going through a field, we'll help each other in that way. We're not gonna piss off people who aren't hunting foxes. But yeah, the members of the hunt, there's just an entitlement to their ways, and yeah, just they try and antagonize. But for me, we just focus on the job that needs to gets done, which is stopping them from killing these foxes. If there was a scenario where I could speak to a member of the hunt and they would actually listen to me, I would, I guess, try and get them to empathize with the fox just trying to survive, just like all of us. Just, we all have family, some of us are parents, we all have this instinct to survive in this world. And I guess I try and get them to think about that. Like, would it seems like basic primary school logic. Like, how would you like to be in that situation? It's the golden rule. It's what motivates me in my day. Like, I want to treat others how I want to be treated. How would you like it if you were in the fox's position? I try and really get that point across. I'm not sure how useful that would be, but if I get that point across, maybe they would think about what they're doing and spend their time doing something else. If anyone's out there watching or listening and thinks they'd like to get involved, I'd say go for it. So if you hate people hunting foxes, if you can run, if you have the motivation to do something and you're not worried about what people might think of you, this is perfect, and it's an opportunity to grow that part of you, to listen to that voice that says I can make a difference. And yeah, I don't love sabbing, to be honest, but I don't like waking up. I don't like being on these muddy fields, but it's worth it. It's like I love telling people when I meet them, I'm a hunt saboteur. I'm someone who stops people from killing foxes. It's something I wear with pride. I tell my family, I tell my people at work, and there's no problems there. Like, hunting foxes is illegal, and sabotaging the hunt is the right thing to do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Hello, my name's Elric, and I've been a hunt sab. This will be my third season, although it definitely feels like I've been doing it for a lot longer. And I've been injured for a lot of them seasons as well. So, but no, this is my third season, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm a painter and decorator by trade, but I got into sabbing through animal rights. So I was, I still am doing a lot of outreach, vigils, things like that. And that's how I got into sabbing, through my animal rights outreach. And yeah, that's it. The reason why I go out is definitely the chance to save foxes and save wildlife. That's pretty much the main reason, really. And we're very good at it. So we do save animals probably 98% of the time. In fact, I've not seen a kill when I've gone out. So it's a good ratio of success as well. So that's, it would probably be quite stressful if we weren't that successful, but I still probably would go out anyway. Like when I do my vigils, I can't save the chickens, for example, but it's a really, it's a great chance to go out there and save wildlife. As far as bad moments goes, I've been quite lucky because, I mean, I don't know if it's a bad thing, but I always seem to get I've not gone out midweek where we've actually lost hares, deer and foxes because there's less of us. So I've not gone out midweek, so I've not experienced that. So that's good. I've not really experienced too much violence, just a sort of abuse and stuff like that. I am dreading a day where I will see an animal get killed. Probably the worst moment for me is I saw a hound injured. A dog, they call them hounds. I see a dog injured, had a kind of weird growth on the belly and was salivating, and one of the hunters just picked it up, put the dog in a car, and highly likely that dog would have been put down. So that's probably the worst moment I can think. Apart from that, just hearing, like, I remember a deer got run over, hearing that was very upsetting. Just like some injuries I've had out in the field, like turning my ankle over, calf injury, my silly bloody big injury I had in Cyprus when I was sabbing out there. Probably the scariest moment, I would say, actually trying to stop a hunt was, I can't remember the hunt, but the hounds got into a wood. This was actually a couple of years ago. Hounds got into a wood, and it was a really thick wood, and you couldn't get in there. And the hounds went into cry, like really loud, and we were trying to call them out, but they wouldn't budge. We're a bit of a new school kind of sab group, like that's the old school way of doing it is that way, but we like to get in and get the hounds out. That's how we like to do it, as long as you don't have a fox bolt. But we couldn't get in there, and one of the hunters actually rode at full speed on his horse round the side, so I thought a fox had bolted. That wasn't the case. Eventually, actually a crazy sab from Norfolk actually did manage to get in the thicket, and we did manage to call the hounds out, and he was ripped and torn actually. But that's probably the scariest moment I can think of out in the field. But yeah, I've been lucky so far. I haven't seen anything like too bad, and like long may that continue. But I know I've got to prepare myself for a situation where that might happen. I got into hunt sabbing via a animal rights outreacher I knew. I knew her like for quite a while, probably a good year before, and she used to like come up to me and say, "Do you want to do hunt sabbing?" And to be honest, I didn't really take it seriously. I was like, "No, I'll never do that. You know, I'll never do hunt sabbing." She sort of asked me a couple of times. I was like, "Nah, whatever. I'll think about it. That kind of thing." And then I remember at Feds Fest, she come up to me and asked me again. And said that basically the leader of our group was doing some interviews, recruitment interviews. And then I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll give it a go. And so I went to the recruitment interview, which was at Unity Diner, I believe. And as soon as our leader started talking about what they do, what the saboteurs do, and the whole kind of like work ethic and the teamwork and all that kind of stuff, and just you being out in the field.
My name is Angela. I've been a hunt saboteur for 5 years now, 5 seasons, and time flew by really fast. I'm a data analyst. I work in London. This is my day job. It's a boring 9-to-5 day job. And in my time off, I do animal rights activities, mainly hunt sabotage. My journey into sabbing started a few years back. I had become a vegan a few years ago, and gradually I started to learn about animal rights. I started to be more open to the idea of animal rights. And I started to feel I want to do something more than just being a vegan. I had become aware of different forms of animal abuse. I was at a vegan festival, I remember, and somebody was giving around flyers about hunt sabotage. At the time, I knew absolutely nothing about the existence of fox hunting or any such hunting with dogs at all. I had never heard the concept. And I received these flyers, I looked over them, I didn't understand much. And I remember asking the person, oh, what is this? Is this a new thing? I never heard about it. And the person kind of laughed and they told me, well, we've been going on for more than 60 years and fox hunting has been going on for hundreds of years. I was very taken aback initially. I went home with the flyers. I had a more look over them. I've started to research online and I was absolutely shocked to discover all the details about it. To discover that a group of people in the countryside would take a pack of dogs and go and chase a small animal and let the dogs rip that animal apart just in the name of sport. I just could not get my head around it. That is just cruelty for the sake of cruelty. And I became interested, I became curious. Okay, so what do people do to stop this? What is a hunt saboteur? How do they do it? And I started getting in touch with hunt saboteurs through common friends I had in the vegan community, or even online, sending messages around to various saboteur groups. And this is how I got involved. Why do I do hunt sabotage? The most obvious answer would be that I want to save that fox. It's the life of the individual. For that fox, it matters. If a fox is saved one day, the fox will go on living. It's a saved life. So that's the most obvious answer. However, there's more to that, because I thought many times, okay, we're putting so much effort into saving a fox on a Saturday. That fox might get killed on a Tuesday because the hunt will be out on a Tuesday. We are not there. How do we know what's happening? So you might wonder sometimes what's even the whole point of it. Well, again, the answer is more complicated. One, we're looking for the longer term gain as well in the bigger picture. We're not only trying to save that fox on that particular day, but we are also trying to bring legislation change. We are trying to open people's eyes to this form of cruelty. We're trying to banish this for good. We're trying to bring awareness. So this is a big part of what we're doing, bringing awareness, showing it to the public, trying to stop this cruelty for good. And also there's a more philosophical answer, because some people have been asking me, why are you trying to stop suffering? There is suffering in the world. There's suffering in the nature. A lion would chase a deer and the deer would die being ripped apart. There will always be suffering. So what's the point of you running around 20 kilometers on a field trying to save a fox? Well, the point is, I'm against evil, nonsensical evil. If a lion chases a deer, that's nature. A lion is an obligate carnivore. We are not obliged to do that as humans. We are not obliged to go with a pack of dogs and chase a fox and rip that animal apart. It's just evil. So maybe I'm not trying to stop suffering. Suffering will always exist. I'm just trying to stop evil, or at least this form of evil, because I think we have a duty as humans to hold ourselves to higher moral standards. The worst moment for me in hunt sabotage clearly has been a day when the hunt killed the fox literally steps away from where I was. That was definitely the worst moment, because I also felt I was so close to it. I was almost able to stop it, but not close enough. I remember it was a Boxing Day, which should be a day of spending time with family, should be a day of compassion, of joy. But funnily enough, precisely on this day, people choose to go out hunting and kill animals in such a way. Anyway, it was around 3:30 in the afternoon. We had already put in a lot of effort trying to stop the hunters, running all day. We were tired, we were full of mud, we were wet. And we were trying with our last forces to run in the direction when we could hear hounds being in cry, which meant they were probably on a fox. And we got there eventually, after some riders were trying to prevent us from entering that wood because it was obvious to them what was happening. They knew hunting was going on at that moment. They didn't want us to see. We eventually entered the wood. When we got there, another couple of my friends, hunt saboteurs, were already at the place. I didn't know what's happening initially. I just saw them in distress. I saw one of them crying, and when I approached, I saw that one of them was holding the body of the fox, who was ripped apart. And the dogs were still around. They were starting to clear off. And the hunter was still around, being completely mute to our challenges, because we were asking, what's this? You said you are not hunting foxes. What just happened? He was completely mute. He didn't answer. He left. And I remember being in shock. Obviously, you expect this to happen when you are a hunt saboteur and go out trying to stop this. You imagine that you might see something like this, but it's still a shock when you actually see it. It was for me anyway. I did not expect to happen right in front of me, on my watch, so to say, when I was almost there. And what can I say? It was heartbreaking, it was disappointing, all this effort put in, and the fox was still killed. This case went into court, actually, because we had good drone footage of it. It was a case of a packerage hunt killing this fox. They went to court. The case got nowhere in the end because there wasn't enough evidence that the hunter had intentionally killed this fox, which again shows how important it is to strengthen the legislation, because you can have good drone footage, you can catch them in act. It's still very, very difficult to prove that they've done it intentionally and they've actually encouraged the hounds onto that fox. We didn't have footage of the exact moment when the huntsman was encouraging the hounds. So yes, that was the most distressing moment for me, and unfortunately it's also the most memorable moment because it's so stuck into my retina. And obviously we had good moments hunt sabotaging as well. We had good moments of friendship, camaraderie. You really make very, very good friends with people when you drag each other out of the mud and when you go together through various intense moments, and when you have to organize, work together, be patient with each other. So I think some of the best friendships, probably the best friendships I made, are in the group of hunt saboteurs. My thoughts about the hunters themselves. It's a bit of a mixture. I think some of them might be misguided. Some of them grew up in this environment. This is what they've seen around them. They are desensitized to the suffering of an animal. They probably feel peer pressure. This is what their family is doing. This is what their friends are doing. They feel pressured into doing this. So maybe there is an element of being stuck in that society and being misguided. But I also think there are some who actively choose this and enjoy it. And I would say that yes, there is an element of evil there. I cannot put it any other way. There must be an element of evil when you know what is happening, you know how that animal is going to suffer. Because it's a fox. A fox is the same as a dog or a cat. If you don't want your dog or your cat being ripped apart to shreds, why would you want this to happen to a fox? And just to be happy with that and go out and intentionally pursue that, yes, there must be something psychopathic, I believe, in the thinking of those people. Although, as I said, it's probably a mix of peer pressure and other things, so I don't want to go full speed and say, oh, they are complete psychopaths. I think some of them are. But some of them, maybe they can be saved if they just open their minds and their hearts. I do have hopes that hunting will stop. Hunting with dogs, for sure, very soon. I hope, because the society, for the big part, is against it. All the polls are showing that. There's only a small percentage of people who are actually for hunting with dogs and enjoy it. I do have big hopes it will stop soon. As for other types of animal cruelty, other types of hunting, of course, there's a long way to go. Maybe not in our lifetime, but we have to work towards making the world a better place in whichever way we can.
So everybody, I hope you found that absolutely fascinating, hearing from 4 other sabs who are 4 out of the sort of 25, 30 who are in our group, North London Hunt Sabs, and just give you a bit of insight into why 4 very different people do what they do every Saturday during hunting season. It's been fantastic having the opportunity to just show a little bit behind the scenes of what really goes on in the world of hunting and, of course, in the world of hunt sabotage. And I really hope you've learnt something, maybe felt motivated to come and join us, or just to donate to help keep us in the field. We have 4 vehicles which are very expensive to run and maintain, but it's not about the money. It is about just helping people understand what goes on these Saturday mornings. Cubbing season is less than 2 weeks away now, so hopefully you'll be fast asleep in your beds at 3 a.m. So I can't even say think of us when we're up there at that time, helping protect our wildlife. So big love and big thanks to everybody out there. Thank you.